All right, let's dive right in. We're talking about the global cost of living for 2025. We're going to look at the world's priciest cities, the cheapest ones, and most importantly, a real practical playbook to help you save some serious cash, no matter where you are. So let's just cut to the chase with the question that's probably on your mind. Are you paying too much to live? I mean, really. Whether you're thinking about a move or you're just curious where your own city stacks up, what we're about to get into, well, it's going to be pretty eye-opening. And here's why this stuff matters. It's not just about some list. Once you get why a city is so crazy expensive and how these rankings are even put together in the first place, you can actually start making smarter moves with your money. So let's get into it. Let's decode these numbers. Okay, first things first, we have to figure out what these rankings are all about. You've seen the lists, right? From places like The Economist or Mercer. But what do those numbers really mean? What are they actually measuring? Let's break it all down. So you're basically going to see three big names pop up. And here's a super simple way to think about them. Mercer, that's for big corporate expat packages, where housing costs are everything. Numbeo, that's more for us, for regular people. It's all crowdsourced data on stuff like how much a carton of milk costs. And then there's the EIU, the Economist list. They use the standard basket of goods, so when the US dollar is super strong, it can totally throw their list for a loop. And this is the key right here. The reason the lists never perfectly match up is because they're asking totally different questions. One is asking, how much does it cost to move a CEO to Singapore, while another is asking, how much does a local pay for groceries in Zurich? And yeah, if everything's being converted back to a strong US dollar or Swiss franc, that's going to change the whole picture. These little details, they mean everything. Okay, so now that we've got that groundwork laid, let's get to the fun part, the 2025 Global Scoreboard. Let's see who's topping the charts for costliness this year. You know, the results for 2025 have some familiar names on the list, for sure. But the reason they're so expensive, that's where things get really interesting. When we're talking about just day-to-day living, groceries, services, Zurich is number one. It's already pricey, but then you add in that super strong Swiss franc, and boom, it just amplifies everything. Now, if you're an expat, Singapore is a whole other level. It's the city's specific policies on things like housing and especially cars that make it wildly expensive if you're moving there from another country. Right up there with Singapore for expats is Hong Kong, and the story here is, well, it's pretty simple. It's rent. Just the astronomical cost of housing keeps it locked in at the top. And of course, we've got New York City as a top contender. You've got the strong US dollar, plus this absolutely relentless pressure on rent, and that combination has pushed it right up there in the 2025 rankings. So you can see it's not the same story everywhere. For Zurich, it's all about that powerful currency and a booming economy. For Singapore, it's a direct result of specific government policies. And for New York, it's all about that brutal, unforgiving rental market. Okay, but what about the other side of the coin? Let's flip the script and look at the world's least expensive cities. Because the word cheap, well, it's way more complicated than you might think. So you've got cities in Pakistan and India, like Lahore and Coimbatore. They have some of the lowest prices for stuff in the entire world. But, and this is a huge but, look at that local purchasing power. It's also really low. So what does that mean? It means that while things might seem cheap to a tourist or an expat, for the people who actually live there and earn local wages, life can be really, really tough. And this brings us to a super important point. Cheap to live does not, and I repeat, does not equal a high standard of living. They are absolutely not the same thing. And getting that context is just, it's everything. So, whether you're living in Zurich and paying a fortune for coffee, or you're just feeling the pinch wherever you are, what can you actually do about it? Well, that's where our global savings playbook comes in. These are smart moves that'll work pretty much anywhere. Look, housing is almost always your biggest bill. No surprise there. But that also means it's your biggest opportunity to save money. The roommate rule, it's a total game changer. Then there's what I call commute arbitrage. Just live a little further out, like 20 or 30 minutes, but make sure it's on a good, fast transit line. And hey, don't be afraid to lock in a longer lease. You can often negotiate a much better monthly rate. All right, next up, your daily habits. Cooking. You gotta cook most of your meals. It's just non-negotiable if you want to save money. And packing your own lunch. It sounds small, but that simple act can literally save you thousands of dollars a year. Seriously. Oh, and in most big cities, owning a car is a financial death trap. Just ditch it. Use public transit, use car sharing, whatever. Just don't own the car. Okay, let's get into some of the smarter, maybe less obvious hacks. Bundle your bills whenever you can. Switch to a cheaper mobile provider. Look up MVNOs. They're basically cheaper carriers that piggyback on the big networks. And here's a huge one if you ever travel. When you use your card abroad and it asks if you want to pay in your home currency or the local one, always, always, always choose the local currency. You'll avoid getting totally slammed on the exchange rate. So, with all that in our back pocket, what's next? What does the future look like? Let's take a little peek at the outlook for 2026. All right, here's what the experts are saying, pretty much in a nutshell. Even if inflation starts to chill out a bit, as long as the housing markets in these big global cities stay super tight, the names at the top of the list aren't really going to change. So, yeah, expect to keep hearing about Zurich, Singapore, Hong Kong, and New York dominating the conversation. So, if you walk away with just 3 things from all this, let it be these. First, know what story the ranking is actually telling you. Is it for an expat or a local? Second, housing, housing, housing. It's almost always your biggest lever to pull to save money. And third, those smart, simple habits we talked about, they can make a massive difference no matter where on earth you live. And that kind of leaves us with one last thing to think about. In this world of high costs where you always have to make trade-offs, what do you really value most? Is it having more space? Is it being in the perfect location? Is it all about experiences? The numbers can give you a map, for sure, but only you can decide where you want to go. Thanks so much for tuning in.